Hey guys, how are we doing? So we are watching, oh god, my nose is so stuffy. We are watching a Mother's Basement video, and this is cool because I have been watching How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, because I'm trying to stay up to date with like anime. As soon as Crunchyroll starts promoting stuff, I'm like, right, I'll start watching that. So How Not to Summon a Demon Lord was one of the things they brought up, so I was like, right, I'll check it out. Now at first I was just kind of like, what is this? You know, because it was a bit weird. There's some weird stuff going on in the first couple of episodes, but I stuck with it just in case. And you know what? I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. It's weird because it's very pervy in parts, like over the top with it. But it's actually an interesting like thing. I think it's got what like Overlord has, where obviously this is like more funnier and like being. And like the world, you get introduced to all the stuff that's going on. It's not just focusing on the main character, and I think the main character is funny as well. I like, you know, he's really OP and everything. Let's just get into this because this isn't a discussion from me. Let's just get into this. I like that we've got like the Art of Good Ecchi, How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. Like, I like that there's a positive video out, because at first it wasn't very like, but it's not bad. It's not bad, you know? Check it out. Right, let's get into this. This is far too long an intro.
For a season typically associated with beaches and bikinis, summer 2018 has been a little underwhelming on the ecchi front.
Right.
On the one hand, you've got Master of Ragnarok, which I've already said more
can't stand it.
about, and on the
I
other,
tried
you've got
watching
Yuna's
it.
Haunted Hot Springs, which is basically just Love Hina, except...
I watched the first couple episodes and I was like, nope.
Hold on a sec, I'll think of something eventually. Alright, it's worse. And Harukana Receive has good production values and cute girls for days, but as a sports drama,
cool.
its appeal is naturally pretty niche, even for anime. So that really just leaves one lone anime this season to carry the hopes and dreams of thirsty otaku everywhere. One show to ignite the passion in our souls and other places, and inspire us to declare, loudly and proudly, well, actually very quietly and with great shame, I am going to get demonetized if I finish this joke. I'm sure you can fill in the blank, though. When How Not to Summon a Demon Lord started, I was convinced that I'd hate it, and the first episode did very little to dissuade that expectation, honestly, as it filled every minute that didn't involve TNA with exposition dumps and the standard power fantasy trope of beating up the mean guy of high
so you're
standing,
horrible,
and
then I
also
shall
the
beat you.
episode's TNA set piece
How
was a
dare
little
you
on
be
the
mean.
molesty side, which
Yeah,
is
that was
never
weird as well.
a
It's just
good
like,
sign. But as the episodes went on, a funny thing happened. I started to like it a lot. Once the show's world had been established and the characters given a bit of room to grow, I found myself getting surprisingly attached to them and even invested in the show's simple but well-constructed fantasy plot. And now, 8 episodes in, I'm close to ranking it up there with High School DxD on my list of the best ecchi anime of all time. My response to this show got me thinking. I've talked a lot about what I do and don't like in ecchi series, but I've never really sat down and laid out what I think is the formula to make a perfect one. So today I'm going to use Demon Lord as an example, both for what it does right and what it gets wrong, to figure that out.
Cool.
And since YouTube just loves this kind of intellectual discussion, I want to say a special thank you to today's sponsor, Bookwalker, for facilitating it. Bookwalker is Kadokawa's official light novel and manga ebook store, and if you're a fan of How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, they have 5 volumes for you guys to read right now. And if you stick around to the end of the video, you'll find out how you can win 2 mini Opie mousepad keychains of Rem and Shera, and participate in an official poll to determine who, once and for all, is best girl. On that note, my first criteria is make good girls. Great ecchi naturally starts with great characters, and when I say that, I'm not just talking about designs. While it is important that girls in an ecchi show look sexy for obvious reasons, it's more important that I actually like them as characters, not just because it makes for a better show
Otherwise,
in general,
you don't want them
because
there.
it makes them more attractive. I mean, on paper, the girls from Sin Nanatsu no Taizai are absolute snacks, hands down some of the hottest original figurine designs I've ever seen. But when they made an anime out of that figurine line, they kinda forgot to expand their personalities beyond piece of plastic with boobs, and I was so bored with the characters from just that one episode that I actually lost interest in the figures. I don't want to fantasize about a bunch of fancy real dolls. This is something that How Not to Summon a Demon Lord nails almost immediately. Shera's outgoing ditziness and Rem's sweet but slightly abrasive shyness and temper tap into the appeal of popular harem archetypes without entering into the paint-by-numbers tsundere and pals territory
I do like it when they talk,
they've got their own motivations and ambitions, as well as
like,
a tenuous,
their
complicated friendship that Diablo
different.
has to find his own place in. And as new supporting characters like Celeste and potential harem members like Alicia have been introduced, they've also proven to have a fair degree of depth to their personalities.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're different. They're not all the same person.
Nobody wants that from an ecchi series anyway. What I want is girls who are cute enough to make my heart skip a beat, unique enough to stand out next to my existing waifus, and interesting enough as characters that I'm not bored out of my mind when they have clothes on.
That's the big one.
Because if I am, I'll probably be bored when the clothes are off, too. Sexual attraction is about more than just liking how someone looks naked. It's about that spark of chemistry you feel when you like someone's personality, which makes you think, I would probably have fun doing things with this person, and also talking to them after. That's why there's still a market for story-driven comedic ecchi, even though hentai exists. That's why hentai anime still have plots. Waifus need to be more than just eye candy. Although it kind of goes without saying, they must also be eye candy, which leads us to point 2, make the girls hot. Because there's nothing worse than not attracted to any of the designs, like Master of Ragnarok. The cast of Demon Lord covers a good range of the anime girl spectrum, and while out of the main girls, Shera's definitely more my type, I can appreciate Rem's design as well. They hit the core appeal of the elf and cat girl archetypes respectively very well, while still looking distinctive. Their clothes clearly set them apart from each other while being very provocative, and their pajamas, while a little anachronistic, both match their daily fashion and look sexy as heck. Especially Shera's barely there top and shorts. Like, god
it's like
damn. And while sexiness isn't usually the first thing you should go for when designing a character in most genres, it absolutely is in ecchi.
Oh, it's imagine,
the plot is moving forward outside of the designated fan service scenes, a perfect ecchi series gives you a sense of constantly being surrounded by women who are so hot that it's kinda distracting. That's why in High School DxD, the uniforms were designed with those cool cowls and the vest corset things. They make them stand out from the thousands of more generic school uniforms seen in other high school anime, while still leaving the chest covered in only thin white fabric so that Akino and Rias can freely jiggle. That's also why anime skirts typically cover less than most belts. If ecchi character design is a science, and it absolutely is, then Shera is pretty much a master thesis. You got the impossible boob window in very thin fabric that allows for some very impressive Gainax bouncing Sakura without ever breaking PG-13 limits. You got the angled hip belt that both says, hey, this character does archery, and helps to break up the design symmetry while drawing attention to her hips, and you've got the tiny skirt and absurdly high boots to create that all-important absolute terror.
Look at them, they're far too big.
You also got the slave collar to hit the series S&M fetish appeal without doing something
adds to it, I guess,
like dressing her up in full bondage gear. On that note, let's move on to point 3, minimize the creep factor. The creep factor, as I call it, is any aspect of ecchi anime that has the potential to turn a viewer off. Now, I say minimize and not eliminate here because eliminating this factor is pretty much impossible in anything that's trying to be sexy. Turn-offs, like turn-ons, vary from person to person, and it is very likely that something that makes one person say hell yes is going to make someone else say hell no. That's
I'm gonna say, like, I don't watch How to Summon a Demon Lord to, like,
there's a reason we call
get off. I
just
find it
entertaining. Has to appeal to fetishes to some extent because the vanilla combination of groping, titty flashes, and panty shots has been done to death and gets old fast. But while hentai can hit a very specific niche and still profit, ecchi anime still needs to reach a wider audience to succeed because it's airing on television. So any good ecchi show is going to appeal to a broad range of kinks, and few audience members, if any, are going to be into all of them. The trick, then, is to find ways to satisfy what those various pervs are looking for while skirting around the most uncomfortable or questionable aspects of those fetishes.
Oh, that's the prison thing, isn't it?
Other pervs don't get put off from the stuff that they want. An obvious and unavoidable example in most ecchi anime is Lolicon, and this show is sadly no exception. Rem kinda rides the line with a flat-chested, slender body type that could conceivably belong to an adult, but Sylvie is unquestionably supposed to look like a child, and that is definitely creepy. As a point in favor, Shera and Rem are treated as adults with jobs and responsibilities, which means that despite being petite, Rem doesn't come across as, you know, a child. The same applies to Sylvie, who has the personality of an experienced businesswoman, even though she looks like that. This is the benefit of the she just looks young trope. Yes, it's a flimsy excuse. Yes, I would personally prefer it if most harem ecchi anime didn't feature or at least didn't sexualize childlike characters at all. But Japan doesn't have the same stigma stigma toward this stuff
no, because
in cartoons as we do, and you kind of just need to build up some tolerance to it if you want to enjoy ecchi
just
anime.
a bit weird as well.
So I appreciate it when, in trying to appeal to a broad range of degenerates, ecchi series make an effort, however flimsy, to excuse the young character designs and the inevitable looting thereof, letting me squint past the stuff that I personally find to be really creepy so that I can enjoy what I'm actually here for, which in this case is Shera, and I think probably Alicia if and when they get around to looting her. This is a tight balancing act to pull off, and to be fair, Demon Lord doesn't always pull it off flawlessly. I could have done without that scene in episode 8 where Diablo drunkenly mistakes Sylvie for a Dakimakura somehow and proceeds to molest her, for instance, and I am not looking forward to the show introducing that little naked demon girl who keeps showing up in the ED. But that's what makes this show such a good focal point for this discussion. It gets some things wrong, but it gets enough right, and enough really right, to still be very enjoyable. Minimizing the creep factor of a fetish gets trickier when it's the selling point of your show.
Oh, of course, yeah, like if you're going to go all characters,
How Not to Summon a
girls,
Demon Lord,
sexualize
is obviously the whole accidental master-slave dynamic between Diablo, Rem, and Shera. This is a touchy subject because obviously slavery is bad, except when it's between two or more loving and consenting adults. Then it's fun, and luckily, How Not to Summon a Demon Lord makes it very clear that it's only interested in exploring the fun, mutually enjoyable kind of slavery, not the bloody mark on human history kind.
Yes, not the bad kind.
Clear early on that Diablo wants to release Shera and Rem from their slave collars, and he will probably continue wanting that until one of them says, actually, we're kind of into this. Despite having the ability to magically force Shera to stay with him in episode 7, he openly accepts her choice to go with her obvious rapist brother, even though it turns out to be mind control. He repeatedly says that Rem and Shera are his property, but it's mostly as a term of affection, and he clearly only wants them to have what they want. It's lucky for him and the thirsty nerds watching, then, that they clearly want
tough
him.
as well.
That's what we call a
badass.
win-win. And when he goes to a slave market for the first time, he only fantasizes about the kind of markets you see in manga and games, and his sexy fantasy is met with more or less a confirmation that that's what it's like in this world, with a shot of all the slaves laughing and drinking tea, without a sad face in sight. This is obviously not an accurate portrayal of what is, in reality, a horrific and unforgivable practice, but then it's not meant to be, and I'd argue that it doesn't really have to be. It's meant to be a fun fantasy scenario in softcore porn, as long as everyone, creators included, is going into the show with that understanding and not expecting to learn or teach a real lesson, then I think indulging in that fantasy can be perfectly healthy. Which brings us to point 4. Everyone should have some fucking fun.
Oh yeah, definitely,
now,
of course.
I'm referring to 3 groups with that sentence. The audience, the characters, and the creators. And since we were just talking about that slave market scene, we may as well start there with the audience. A mistake that a lot of ecchi anime make themselves too darn seriously. An ecchi-driven story should be, at its core, fun and lighthearted with a good sense of humor. That doesn't mean that ecchi anime can't go to
then it just gets weird,
places.
serious.
I'm a big fan of High School of the Dead, after all, but when they do, they should do it in a silly, indulgent, grindhouse kind of way, not an overly serious, edgy way. Take Master of Ragnarok as a point of comparison. When that show wants Yuto to acquire a slave girl for his harem, it has him pause in front of a disturbingly realistic Bronze Age slave merchant, look on in horror at the miserable, terrified faces of the mother and daughter he's about to sell off, and then nobly decide to buy and own those 2 people as property just like anyone else in that crowd would do, but in a nicer way. Even if you create a wholly unrealistic scenario for the sake of indulging in a fetish like this, I understand that some people will be put off by it because they just can't look past the horrific implications. But when you call attention to those implications, and then engage in the fantasy anyway, all that means is that nobody can enjoy it. And conversely, when you try to cram sexy moments into an otherwise serious and dark story, that just ends up being jarring and unpleasant for the people who came to the show for the story. This is one of the biggest underlying problems with SAO, and you knew I had to bring that up at some point. How Not to Summon a Demon Lord does have points where the story gets heavy and serious, but so far all of those moments have come at the end of story arcs, and as a result of violence and death, rather than any of the sexy shenanigans.
Yeah, it's not been any kind of like
so
weird.
they add weight to the storyline and character development without getting in the way of the sexy fun, which it is important to remember, whether it's being played for laughs or other reactions, is ultimately the point of this kind of anime. Which brings us to the characters. In any good ecchi ecchi anime, it is vital that everyone involved in the sexy stuff is having a good time and wants to be doing it.
Yeah,
and there's two reasons for that.
You make
Firstly,
it weird if you...
it's hotter that way. The sounds of people enjoying themselves are just generally a lot more audibly appealing than eek, baka, slap. And secondly, it makes all of the characters involved a lot more likable and relatable. They're enjoying doing something that I'm enjoying watching. Yeah. Everyone's happy. Conversely, when some people involved in the sexy stuff aren't enjoying themselves, that makes the people who are kind of despicable. Yeah. Like, that's how you characterize a villain.
Yeah,
make us want to see them get their heads chopped off. And hey, to this show's credit, they do that exact thing to the rapist elf who they borrowed from SAO.
Yeah.
I want to see the protagonist who I'm supposed to relate to and root for turn out to be a rapist. And I especially don't want to see him enjoy that. Like I said, it's a pretty quick shortcut to making me hate your character and your show. That said, it's not much better if it just happens to him. It's not fun to watch a bunch of miserable people who hate each other begrudgingly, or even worse, accidentally, getting naked and fondling each other. The lucky accidental pervert trope is, at best, little more than a played-out excuse to generate artificial conflict and sexual tension without placing blame on the limp-dicked audience insert protagonist, and at worst, a bad excuse for sex crimes. It's A-okay for Diablo to wake up and accidentally grope the curvy elf girl who's made a conscious decision to climb into bed with him and cling to him in her sleep, and who generally expresses when she's awake that she enjoys doing that kind of thing. It's not okay for him to do the same to his boss, who just brought him liquor and was just trying to be nice. Still, for the most part, How Not to Summon a Demon Lord has erred on the side of keeping things fun for everyone, and at worst, questionably consensual. High School DxD definitely does this better, and in a truly perfect ecchi anime, the girls would all be actively trying to jump the protagonist's bones, but this is still miles better than most of the dreck we see in the genre. Demon Lord's girls are generally down for whatever sexy stuff they get up to, if a bit shy about it, and Diablo, for the most part,
look at those boobs go.
Holding things back due to his own hang-ups, but we'll get to him in a sec. Because if you remember, there's one other group that needs to have fun with an ecchi show: the people making it. You can tell when an ecchi series is just being made to cash a paycheck. You can tell when an animator really cares about making a pair of tits bounce right, and when they're just doing the bare minimum to bring the show to air, or when they're on such a tight schedule that they can't do otherwise. And the results almost always suck. I'm not saying that every ecchi series needs to spend $1 bazillion on Bazanga animations, but I want to see some love go into crafting the curvy and bouncy bits that I'm coming to the show for. Just like it's hard to enjoy the animated sexy fun times when the characters are miserable, it's hard to enjoy them when you feel like the people working on them were miserable too. So find some creative camera angles. Spend some extra time detailing how certain things poke through certain pieces of fabric. Craft a sexy come-hither expression instead of just letting every girl be a dead-eyed horror mannequin. And
that makes sense.
Designers, for the love of fucking God, work in some music that's not shitty generic synth. Please. How Not to Summon a Demon Lord does this very well.
It does.
You need only look at the start of the big action scene in the OP to see the care and attention that went into animating Shera's boobs. The supple elasticity, the sweat beads rolling around. Now, this is what I call Sakuga. Also, I guess the action animation's okay too, which is...
The action's great in the OP.
Them titties. It's hard to put exactly into words, but basically, ecchi animators do this. Anyway, with that slight digression out of the way, let's talk about Diablo with point 5. Give me a main character I don't fucking he's likable. Just suck. They're wimpy losers with little to no agency and even less discernible personality whose sole
This is really interesting because I just look at How Not to Summon a Demon Lord as an isekai
if you're gonna write an ecchi protagonist like this, you may as well just do like Keijo,
with
cut out the middleman
fan service.
First place. There's no checklist to fill out here. Writing
There's
a
lot of points
relatable,
about the
likable, and
boobs
interesting
in this.
protagonist is a challenging task that I'd need a whole other video to explain, and that varies from project to project. But one pretty important thing that a lot of these series fail at miserably is that a good hero has both strengths and flaws, and a personality. And Diablo is a pretty darn great protagonist in that regard. As far as strengths go, he's smart, and like any isekai hero, he's over-leveled compared to most of the other people around him, but he's not that much more powerful than some of the foes he faces in the series. When he fights Lieutenant Galford in episode 8, you get the impression that he really is one misstep away from a potentially fatal sword wound, and it's only his inside-out knowledge of Cross Reveries rules and experience in PvP that allows him to come out victorious, which is nice. It's rare for an isekai protagonist to actually have to strategize and work to earn their victories. A lot of the time it feels like the worlds of their shows are explicitly written to be as easy for them as possible. But not being the best at something you're great at isn't really a flaw. Diablo's chief flaw is more entertaining than that by far. He suffers from crippling social anxiety that he copes with mainly by putting on a ridiculous, arrogant persona, and when that fails him, by lying in bed moping. Which is something that your almighty anime pope definitely can't relate to. Definitely. The show manages to wring a lot of comedy out of his semi-successful attempts at his awkwardness, and out of his terrified reactions to having to talk to people. He's just a big dork who wears plastic
It's really
intimidating, and that makes him seem a lot more human and likable, which is the most important thing for an ecchi protagonist to be. It's better if we can enjoy watching them interact with the other characters instead of just projecting ourselves into their shoes. Not only does this make for more entertaining stories in general, it also aids the show's main goal of getting us excited for the girls. When I watch a show like, say, Love Hina, even though I like the personality of Mitsune, when I see her getting romantic with Keitaro, it doesn't really make my heart flutter. It just makes me think, him? Really? You're going for that piece of cardboard? Romantic chemistry requires two parties, and if your ecchi show can't manage to create it because one of those parties is a lump of fucking styrofoam, I've got no reason to watch it over hentai. If you're struggling to humanize your protagonist, it also helps a lot to give him some platonic male friends. One of my favorite things about High School DxD is Issei's pair of idiot best friends, Matsuda and Motohama, who really help to make him feel more like a dumb teenager. And I really enjoyed his bromance with Kiba and his odd friendship with Azazel. A lot of ecchi anime avoid male supporting characters like the plague, or make every male character aside from the main one into some kind of bad guy, And thus far, Demon Lord has kind of fallen into that trap as well. Galford, Shera's brother, and that mage dude are all huge pieces of shit. But it does have Emil, a kind of
I was gonna say, it's got him,
good and likable dude who Diablo has a soft spot for. Emil always puts a smile on my face with his goofy
wants to be a good
guy.
guy.
I'd really like to see more characters like him in the show moving forward, and in ecchi anime in general in the future. But especially if your protagonist is the only significant male character in your ecchi anime, a lot of effort needs to be put into fleshing him out. Because he can't just be an avatar for the audience's desires. He's got to drive the plot forward through his actions. He's got to make the girls fall for him. And since we're going to be spending a lot of time with him, he's got to make us like him as well. How Not to Summon a Demon Lord is not a perfect ecchi anime, but it's a pretty darn great one. And it highlights a lot of areas where anime like it could stand to improve. I'll turn the question over to you, though. What are your pet peeves in ecchi anime? And what are the things that you think make your favorite ecchi shows stand out? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're down there, if you'd like to read more of Diablo, Shera, and Rem's adventures, you should click the link in the doobly-doo to check out the How Not to Summon a Demon Lord light novels on Bookwalker. They make for fun, light reading, and they've got some pretty saucy illustrations to boot. But you don't have to take my word for it. Between now and September 17th, Bookwalker is running a special event where you can download the entire first chapter of Volume 1 to see for yourself. And as part of this event, they're also holding a contest where you can win a set of mini booby mousepad keychains in Shera XL and Rem XS sizes, and there's a bunch of ways you can enter. You get one entry just for downloading that limited sampler chapter, and another for buying any volume of the light novel. And right now, since Volume 1 is 50% off during the contest, if you buy it using the promo code BASEMENT at checkout for a 600 yen discount, you'll get the book and 2 entries in the contest for free. And on top of that, you can get one more chance to win by pre-ordering Volume 5, which is coming out on October 8th, before September 17th. That's 3 chances to win these lovely collector's items already, and I can give you one more. As part of this contest, Bookwalker is also holding a poll to determine whether Shera or Rem is best girl. The winning girl will get a special bonus illustration when Volume 6 is released. In the spirit of that, if you click like, subscribe to Mother's Basement, and respond to the pinned comment on this video telling me who from from the series is your best girl, I'll be selecting one lucky basement dweller from those comments to win the set that Bookwalker sent to me. Click the link in the doobly-doo to check out the How Not to Summon a Demon Lord light novels, and whatever books you buy from Bookwalker, don't forget to use the promo code BASEMENT at checkout for a 600 yen discount. Cool. I'm Jeff Thu, professional shitbag, signing out from my closet at Crunchyroll Expo, which is why this video sounds kind of weird.
Oh.
Bye!
That's cool. I like that little outro, that's cool. Yeah, Some of the Demon Lord's good. I like it. You know, it's not amazing, but it's good. Be honest, don't really watch these ecchi animes as it's like, I suppose I don't watch it for the boobs. They're just there, but you know, cool. Just feel really a bit awkward now. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. What did you guys think of that? Did you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if not already, leave comments down below, let me know what you discuss in future video. And I'll see you guys, yes, or you guys next time. Bye.